Welcome to the Are Relevant Daily Draft Podcast, joined by Dalton, and Ryan. That's not the name of a law firm. Those are the podcasters today. It is always my luck that I schedule a guest Ryan at the same time his team plays on Monday night. So, that wasn't planned. That's just the way it happened. But we're here to cover the University of Cincinnati-Iowa State game here in a few minutes. But before we begin, Ryan, what is the good message you'd like to share from college football last weekend?
From college football, there's always next year for the quarterback class. I guess that's the the message I would like to share for college football from this last week.
Dalton Blackman, anything stick out to you from last week in the college football?
I think Ryan said it pretty well there. The quarterback class is just unraveling. But I think guys are emerging. Dante Moore he's kind of making himself known at this point. It's really hard to not pay attention to him anymore. Did not look rattled one bit by playing in a whiteout game in Happy Valley.
And Dalton Gentry. Is it busier for college football, busier for recruiting right now? What's keeping you busy?
A little bit of both, but mostly college football right now. Not too many commits recently, so it hasn't been too bad. Haven't been too bad lately. But college football's been crazy, man. I think it's wide open this year. More than it's been ever, probably. Since maybe like 2007,
I think parity is probably the wrong word to use. I like when there's no runaway teams where it's like two teams and everybody else. I'd rather there be like a discussion about like the top 10 or the top 12. So I like the direction the college football is going. But that being said, we are here to talk about Cincinnati and Iowa State. And Ryan Sparks, who is your highest graded player that is playing in this game?
My highest graded player. I would say it's probably a toss-up between Dominic Orange and Dante Corleone, the T tackles. I like both of them. I'm not super high on either of them. This feels like a game with a whole lot of mid-round picks, but
okay. And where do you have Orange on your board right now?
So I've been trying to not have a exact board this year to try to keep bias out for myself, but I would probably have him as a late day 2 grade right now. Same with Corleone based off of health. But yeah, that's where I have him.
Okay. Dalton Blackman, where are you in Dominique Orange right now?
So I have Orange and Corleone both at that early day 3 point. I think I have Orange a little higher. I have a 4th round grade on Orange, 5th on Corleone. Health is kind of why I have Corleone behind him, but Orange is probably the highest defensive player I have out of this in this game. But not my highest player.
Dalton Gentry, how about you?
Yeah, I got they're both really close to my rankings. I think I got them both late 3rd round right now. And then I got Joe Royer late 3rd too. Shout out to offensive player for a minute. He hasn't done much this year. A little disappointing in 3 of the 4 games, but last year he had a really good year. So I think he'll step it up eventually.
Yeah, so Joe Royer is actually one of the players that we haven't really covered on the channel much other than doing top 10 tight end boards. So Ryan, I know that you are a UC fan. You were one of the first people in the chat to be mentioning Joe Royer. You want to talk about your guy for a little bit?
Yeah, for me, he does more than enough as a blocker. He's a big-bodied tight end. He's not. I think he's 255, maybe more. He's got great size, great hands, really strong hands. When he's going up in contested catches, he's going to bring it down most of the time. And one thing I value in a tight end is a guy that when the plays kind of breaking down a little bit, is really, really good at finding those open holes to be that safety net for your quarterback. And I feel like he does that really well. But yeah, he's got great athleticism for his size, and I think he's got an incredibly high ceiling. He is not performing at the level that I was hoping this year. Early on, I think that was quarterback play a little bit. And honestly, he hasn't been used in the offenses the way I would like to see him used. But as long as he gets back healthy, I think he should be a factor in this game.
Okay. And Dalton Blackman, Joe Royer, is he day 2, day 3 for you? What do you think of him as a NFL prospect?
He's my highest graded player in this game. I have a late day 2 grade on him, late 3rd round. And I think Ryan kind of hit the nail on the head. His usage has been kind of frustrating because like you have kind of a physical freak with him in terms of his size and like his ability, because like he is really more built like an inline tight end, but then you split him out and it's like watching a receiver. It's pretty cool. Like he stems his routes just as good as most wide receivers, in my opinion. Really good on that. Really knows how to set his defender up well. The only thing keeping me from like being a lot higher on him are the blocking technique, which he gets away with it because he is big and strong, but he does lose power with his blocking technique. I'd like to see him bring his whole body into blocks a little bit more. And long speed is probably my biggest concern with him. I just worry that I think I was looking, Draft Buzz has him estimated at like a 4.65 40 time as is projected. I'm worried it's going to be more 4.7s. And I think that could make it a little harder for him to move up any more on draft boards than where he is.
Dalton Gentry, how about you on tight end Joe Royer from Cincinnati?
Yeah, they pretty much covered it, man. He's a matchup problem, I think. If he's used correctly, he's just a matchup problem. Defensive coordinator's got a scheme around him, I think, if he's used correctly in the offense. He's really a natural receiver even for his size. It's not like, he just looks smooth out there. He has great route running and he has a good frame, of course. He needs to get better. I think he needs to get better as a blocker for his size. I mean, he's functional, but I think he needs to get a lot better for him to move up the board a little bit. But I still got him late 2nd round just because his talent there, his talent's really good. I think he can still put on 10 pounds and still have the same athleticism. So I'm excited to see him play for a better offense in the NFL, better scheme.
And Dalton Gentry, who have we already talked about your highest player in the game?
Yeah, Joe is. I got him late 2nd round right now.
Okay. Who's your next highest graded player?
I think I got Dominic Orange, late 3rd round, early 4th. A lot of mid-round guys in this game, like mentioned. I don't think there's any first rounders for sure.
Okay, and we've covered Orange, we've covered Royer. Who's next?
Corleone, probably.
Yeah.
They're really similar, I think, though. Really similar kind of players.
Corleone, real quick, anyone else knows he's got a weird body. Does it bother anybody else? Like, just his build is just, I don't like it. I don't know what it is exactly. It's just like skinny legs, but then like big torso. And he just looks weird out there. It works for him. He moves really well, but it's just weird. And it just bothers me for some reason. Like, I'm worried it's like he's not well built to play nose tackle at the next level.
As someone with the same build, chicken legs and a big torso, I love it. I love to see my kind up there. But no, he's one of those guys that like they're both so good in the run. And if we get like the 2023 healthy version of Corleone, I think he would have been pushing day one. But unfortunately, we haven't seen that health. Neither one of them is necessarily great in the pass rush, but can do at least a little.
Yeah, I think that's a big worry with him is 2022, I think, and 23, depending on how you frame it, probably his 2 most productive years. And health has been a big thing. Like, is the blood clot thing, do you know, Ryan, is that like going to be like a long-term issue?
From what I've read, it doesn't seem like that's going to be a long-term issue. It's more of like it was the initial diagnosis and then getting that taken care of. Now getting back to like playing health. Like earlier this season, like the very beginning of the year before he got hurt, I thought he was looking a lot better than he was in 2024. I was like, he's looking maybe back. He's got a little bit more of that play speed back. But unfortunately, then he got hurt. So I believe he tried to go last week and just wasn't quite there. So I believe he's going to be back this week, hopefully.
Nice.
So I'm curious. So a player that was talked about a lot over the summer, but I don't know that I've heard a lot about as college football has been played, is Iowa State cornerback Jontez Williams. So Dalton Blackman, do you have anything on Williams?
Yeah, he's out of the draftable Iowa State secondary guys. He's the one I'm highest on. And it's mostly because I do think he has the highest floor for me at the next level. I do worry about him playing outside. Part of it is I don't think he's a very good fit at all for the Iowa State secondary. They play a lot of off man, and I think he's a better press guy. And I think ultimately he's a nickel at the next level. Just because I think he's a guy where you take him, especially on all these like slot receivers and tight ends that are basically slot receivers, and slot receivers act like tight ends. Those guys are becoming big weapons for teams at the NFL level. And I think he's a guy, because of his physicality, loves to mix it up at the line of scrimmage. I think he's a guy you can stick on one of them, have him get right in their face at the line of scrimmage and kind of shut those guys down a little bit. I think he has a lot of potential there. I don't know if he'll play outside at the next level. It's kind of tough.
Dalton Gentry, how about you and Jontez Williams?
Yeah, I agree with pretty much what he said. He's 5'11", 200 pounds, really, really big corner. I don't think he's the fastest. So it's not a great scheme for him. He needs to be in a cover 2 scheme. If he's going to play outside, I think he could, but he needs to be in a cover 2 heavy scheme like, Seattle or something. But yeah, he's solid. I think he's I don't think he's going to leave this year for one. He's a junior. I think he comes back next year, tries to raise his stock. So right now I got him 5th round, though, if he decides to come out. Just not enough long speed, I don't think.
And Ryan, how about you and Jontez Williams?
Yeah, he kind of reminds me of one of my Bengals, Cam Taylor-Britt, in play style. He's a very physical guy. He's pretty solid in coverage, but I think I do want to see him go back as well. I'd like to see his speed and his athleticism picked up a little bit. What they can do with that training. But he's good. But again, like we've been saying, lots of middle round guys in this matchup.
Oh, this podcast loves middle round guys, right? If I have a goal, if we can cover every player drafted in rounds 1 through 5 on a podcast before the draft, it is a successful draft season. So that's how I measure, like, are we podcasting the right teams and the right content, is trying to hit any of those middle round guys. Ryan, is there another middle round guy in this game that you want to bring up?
Ooh, one of the guys that I think actually could still rise up a little bit is linebacker Jake Golday.
Yes.
From Cincinnati. He is a guy that I really like, and he has pretty good size. He's being used. Okay, sorry, I apologize. My son is deciding to get out of bed right now. I'm gonna have one of y'all finish up Jake Golday.
Okay. Dalton Gentry, you want to finish up Jake Golday?
Yeah, man, his stock it's been rising every week. I feel like he's playing really good ball to start the year. 26 tackles already. It was the most of the first 2 games. That was 2 games ago. So now he's got 20 tackles still, but 2 sacks. He can do it all at 6'4", 240. He's really athletic for his size, and he's a thumper. He hits you really hard. I think he's one of the best backers in the country in terms of college. I don't think he's the best pass defender, so maybe in the NFL might be a 2-down kind of guy. But he brings some pass rush upside that most middle linebackers don't. So I like his game a lot.
So Dalton Blackman, where are you in Jake Golday?
Yeah, he's interesting. He's like at the next level. I mean, he's a will linebacker, but he's also like built like an edge, and college. It's very interesting. I think, I think his closing speed though is going to translate to the next level. I mean, I think worst case scenario for him, he is a depth linebacker at the next level that is a 4-core special teamer. I mean, he's a guy. I think we talked about it on a previous show. Like linebackers, especially day 3, ton of them come off the board, and it's for this reason. They fill they do all the little things that you need guys to do, like on special teams. And I think he's one of those guys. And I think he does have some upside. Like if you needed him to play linebacker at the next level, I think he could do it confidently. I don't know if he's going to be a full-time starter at the next level, just because the tackling's a little needs some work. I'll say leaves his feet a lot when he goes to tackle. Doesn't take the best angles at times. But I think that's something that you could work on. And I mean, the athleticism, though. I mean, you can't coach the athleticism.
Ryan, did you want to finish up on Jake Golday?
Yeah, that last little bit you were talking about. Yeah, he's a guy with like a pretty high ceiling, in my opinion, if he gets to the right coach, because he feels kind of unrefined, but he's just naturally gifted, and he jumps off the tape every time you watch their games. So, but yeah, the rest of the stuff, I agree with y'all.
Yeah, so at Draft Professor, we're about to start our sequence where we break down every position. So most positions, we take the average number of players that get drafted, and then we add 20 to it. So if 30 wide receivers get drafted, we're going to evaluate 56. Well, for linebackers, we didn't do it that way because some of the people covering linebackers didn't want to cover the undrafted players live on a podcast because they said agents pay them money for those, so we don't give it away for free on a podcast. But Jake Golday was one of the 24 linebackers that we said is one of the best linebackers in the class. We had to identify within Draft Professors the top 24 linebackers, and Jake Golday made that list. So there's definitely a lot of consensus. If you are not familiar with Jake Golday, the linebacker from the University of Cincinnati, I would say that he is somebody you need to get on your draft radar if you're building a board. We think he's one of the 24 best linebackers in the class. So,
question: did another linebacker playing in this game? Did Caleb Bacon make that list?
Caleb Bacon did not.
Interesting. He's kind of a similar vibe to Golday.
Okay, go ahead and talk about
him. So exact same frame, 6'4", 240, just like Golday, but kind of opposite skill set in a lot of ways. For him, speed's kind of the issue for him. Not super fast, but really strong at the point of attack, tackles super well. Could be a very good run stuffing linebacker at the next level. Just really strong, flows to the ball well. His hips are going to make him a liability in coverage. That's the only thing. But again, I think he's another guy that I think could play special teams for you. Probably a different role than Golday, but I think definitely could have a role in special teams. And again, really could be really good in jumbo packages, short yardage, goal line packages at the next level linebacker. But I don't know. He jumped out. He was when I was watching the secondary of Ohio State, he was a guy I just kept throwing to. I just kept that. I was like, who's this linebacker?
Ryan, do you have anything on Caleb Bacon?
I almost had the exact same notes. I actually had, pretty stout against the run, good instincts there, but absolute liability in the pass game. So, yeah, very similar viewpoint on him. He's definitely – I feel like at best he's going to be like a late day 3 guy, more likely a UDFA. But I definitely do see a role for him in the league. And I think linebacker is the position that is – most prevalent with UDFAs in the league. So think that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yep. Dalton Gentry, anything to add on Caleb Bacon?
No, that's about the same thing I got. I mean, yeah, can't defend the pass. You don't want him guarding the running back ever, or tight end. So he's a UDFA guy probably, but I think he'll make a team and definitely contribute on special teams.
So I have a Caleb Bacon story. So at the beginning of the season, I think Iowa State was actually the first game we ever previewed. So I'm looking for tweets on Caleb Bacon, to promo the podcast. And I found Caleb Rosenfeld, who went to Roger Bacon High School here in Cincinnati. What makes Caleb Rosenfeld so special is that I coached him in soccer like a decade ago. But he was in a baseball uniform. So I was searching for Caleb Bacon. I found Caleb, which went to Roger Bacon High School that I used to coach in soccer. They have nothing to do with each other. I just thought that was a funny story. So Dalton Blackman, anybody else in this game that sticks out to you, from a draft standpoint, let the audience know, hey, here's a guy that kind of popped when you watched Iowa State or Cincinnati.
I mean, I think the Iowa State secondary is probably the best spot to look. I think on the opposite side of Williams, you have Jeremiah Cooper, who I think has a shot at getting drafted if he comes out this year. He is I think a fringe day 3 guy. There's some things to like, some things not to like. He's got the prototypical build for the position, but there's some issues with his change of direction. I think it's probably the biggest thing.
Good. And Dalton Gentry, do you want to add anything on that defensive back or somebody else that you like?
Yeah, I think the quarterbacks are kind of interesting too. Sorsby's been, I think, quietly playing really good football this year. 180 QB rating, 1,000 yards already, 10 touchdowns, 1 pick. I'm definitely not a starter in the NFL, but I think he could make a team as a backup. He's got great size too, 6'3", 235. And he's mobile, so I like him as a backup developmental guy at the next level, actually. Before the year, I didn't think he was draftable, but he's playing really good ball. He's got a lot of year left, but his stock could go up or it could go down. But he definitely has a ceiling probably of around 4 or 5. I don't think he can, no matter what he does, he can rise above that. But Sorsby's a fun player.
Ryan, anybody else that you want to bring the audience's attention to?
Yeah, I agree with that on Sorsby as well. He feels like that hype guy backup quarterback that can definitely come in and get you a win. In the league, kind of like Fitzmagic, all those type of guys back in the day there. But honestly, University of Cincinnati's offensive line is pretty solid. I think it's probably one of the better units in the Big 12. It's not necessarily a bunch of stars. It's a bunch of guys that are solid and they work well as a unit. But I don't necessarily know that a lot of them are going to be coming out this year. But Taron Tayo is a guy that I've been following because I really liked what he did at Ball State. Struggles against the run, not a lot of power in the run game, but I really like him as when he's pulling, blocking downfield. He's got some good athleticism to him. He was a tackle at Ball State and playing guard for them. And then I honestly think the guy with the highest upside on their offensive line is Joe Cotton, who's big, pretty athletic, and if he gets his hands on you, just call it a day. But I think he needs to return. But other than that, there's some fun wide receivers. I think I'd watched you talk about bring up Cyrus Allen in one of the podcasts the other day. And I think he's a very, very fun player to watch. Gets a lot of separation. He's kind of like the burner on the team. Had a huge game against Kansas. Without him, he kind of picked up the slack a lot when Royer went out.
Okay. So Dalton, do either of you have draftable grades on the Cincinnati offensive line?
I don't think I really am at a draftable point for them. I think Ryan kind of said best. I would like to see them all come back out next year. I don't know if there's anyone that I would be. I mean, there's a couple. The guards are both, I think, fringe 7th-round picks right now. But again, I think they would be much better served spending another year. They both have eligibility, right?
I believe so.
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Any other players playing in this game that you guys have watched that you'd like to bring everybody's attention to?
I don't think so.
I mean, Chase Souls, I think he's an interesting prospect. Project receiver. He had a big game against Arizona, 146 yards, but it's only game he's produced this year. But I like his talent. He's really fast for his size. So I think you could develop him, maybe 6th-rounder. That's about it, though, probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I also like the Iowa State tight ends. I don't think either one of them is going to go very high and might not even get drafted. But, Gabe Burkle's like that classic blocking tight end, but he does have a little bit of hands. Kind of reminds me of Jackson Halls a little bit. That's in the league now. But he ended up going up way higher than I expected him to last year. And then Benjamin Brammer, I think is how you say it. He's just a massive human. And so he's definitely a mismatch, but not great as a blocker, but that red zone threat.
Okay. And why don't we pause? Let's do some podcaster identification, and then we can kind of close this down. Ryan, thank you for coming back and guest appearing on the channel. You want to let everybody know about Draft of the Future and the other content that you make?
Yeah, you can find me on X, Draft of the Future, or at Ryan Dio Sparks. Draft of the Future is a new channel I just started with my friend Matt. We say we focus on inspiration and information for young players. So we just recently did an interview with Bowling Green linebacker Gideon Lamprin, where he talks about his journey. And we have an interview tomorrow, which, in case it falls through, I'm not going to say who it's with. But a guy that can give a lot of information for young players that are trying to, make it to that next level. So that's really kind of our goal. But then we also do come on there and talk about the draft and just football in general, our shadow draft teams. But mostly on X, but YouTube, Draft of the Future as well.
Dalton Blackman.
So I do a lot of writing on the Raiders and the AFC West in general, also some draft stuff over at the Raider Ramble. And then I do some podcasting over at Degenerate Sports Network. We do some NFL shows, and we also have a weekly gambling show on Wednesdays at 9:30.
Dalton Gentry.
Yeah, I'm with Home Squad Sports, 1/2. You can see Daniel at 7 o'clock on Mondays on Draft Professor. But we have 2 shows during the season, Monday and Wednesday, and then we have all kinds of other stuff dropping. So X, to Instagram, Facebook, all those. Just we always drop random stuff. So.
Yeah, I love your high school recruiting content. I like your college football content. So that's awesome stuff that you guys are doing there at Home Squad. So thank you.
Thanks.
So you can follow the channel for Draft Professor at NFL Draft Fanatic. No, I am Fanatic. We're here every day at 7 and 9 p.m. Eastern. So starting next week, this time slot will be Dalton and Jake Robertson breaking down the defensive line class 8 players at a time. So it's always great having Jake Robertson come back. He is first-class podcaster. He makes me laugh every single time we podcast. So for the next 10 weeks, we'll be going through about 80 defensive linemen on this podcast. On average, 55 get drafted. So I'm sure we're going to cover some guys that don't get drafted, and we're going to cover nearly every lineman that does. So that's what's coming up on this channel. But 7 p.m., 9 p.m. every weeknight this week. And then we close out actually on Friday with Draft a Team. So Friday night, 7 p.m., all the podcasters are going to snake draft a team from the prospect pool. So do you have, like, if there's going to be 5 of us, do you have 10 safeties that you like? Do you have 15 corners that you like? You get to see what the depth of the draft board looks like and begin to learn who everybody's my guys are. So if you're watching this and you want to participate and draft a team, just drop a note in the YouTube comments or message me on X at NFL Draft Fanatic. Okay, so over under for this game, 4.5. Ryan, do you think more or less than 4.5 players in the Iowa State Cincinnati game get drafted?
I think more. With Corleone, Royer, Golday, Orange, and then I think there's always at least going to be one other, like maybe one of the defensive backs, or maybe one of the defensive backs would get in there as well. So I would say over, but not by a lot.
Dalton Blackman, over under 4.5.
I'm gonna say over just because I think the floor is 5. It's close.
Yeah, I pride myself in picking a good number. So
That's a good number.
Yeah, Dalton Gentry, over under 4.5 players in the UC Iowa State game get drafted.
I think 4 is a lock, so I got to go over probably 5 or 6.
Okay. Okay, so when we're watching the game, who do we think like has the upper hand? Like, do we think like Dominique Orange will manhandle the UC offensive line?
It's gonna be a fun matchup.
It is.
Honestly, I'm curious to see what they do to kind of neutralize him. It also just depends on what Dominique Orange shows up. I think Cincinnati, they pass a lot. They're more of a throw first team, right, Ryan? Right now,
yeah, and they're doing a lot of running with the quarterback too.
Yeah,
so.
That should get Orange's motor going. I've noticed like he definitely on pass downs turns it on a lot more than against the run. He kind of just does his job and not much else.
Yeah, Dalton Gentry, how about you? Like, where do you see like Dominique Orange versus the Cincinnati offensive line?
I think Cincinnati will try to run outside a lot in this game. Give Evan Pryor. Evan Pryor deserves more carries. I think he's explosive every time he touches the ball. They only give him like 5 or 6 carries a game. He needs at least 10 touches probably. So I hope they get him more involved and get him outside. But Orange is like you said against the run. He just kind of just plugs the middle. He doesn't really make impact plays.
Okay. So, well, one of the things that I found interesting is that I think collectively the 3 of you were significantly lower on Dominique Orange than anybody that's covered Iowa State, right? This is, I believe, the 3rd time we've covered Iowa State, but all 3 of you had more or less the same assessment of it. So I found that to be interesting. And again, it's also possible that earlier in the year, everybody's going off what they saw in summer scouting. They may have not had current year game film to go on. So find that interesting. But Ryan, how about you? Like, if you look at Dominique Orange versus the UC offensive line, do you think it's a mismatch or do you think that's relatively even?
I think it's pretty even. Like I said, I do think UC's offensive line, there's not a bunch of stars on it, but they play well as a unit. So I think they could handle him, and they're also going to throw, some tight ends in there to block a lot too. So I'd be surprised to see that. I think a lot of this game is going to come down to do you have healthy Dante Corleone and do you have a healthy Joe Royer back? Because, like I said, Cyrus Allen was great last week when Royer went out, but a whole game without him is going to be a big deal.
Okay. Anything else in the UC Iowa State game that anybody here feels like discussing or has a question for one of the other podcasters?
I'm curious to see who you guys think Iowa State puts on Royer. Because that's going to be an interesting matchup.
I could see Trey Bell.
Yeah, it's probably about right.
Yeah, Trey Bell's I had a little note that he might have the highest ceiling of the cornerback room. But 6'2", 205, pretty big corner. He's playing well this year. But yeah, I could definitely see them throwing him on there.
I could see Jameson Patton getting some on him too. He's
Yeah,
also
true.
he's 6'2", 210. He's good size too, and he already has 2 picks this year. He's been playing well against the pass, so I think they can use either one of them. Mismatch, whatever, mix match them.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to close the podcast down, get back to the Bengals-Broncos game. So for special guest Ryan, Dalton, myself, and the 98 podcasters at the Draft Professor, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you on a podcast again tomorrow.